You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio.
Welcome to episode 17 of 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games, music, seasoned with pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today, as always, is Tom.
So, once again, as always, it's been quite a busy week in the gaming industry, and in the last few weeks as well, since our last episode, a few games have been released. So, big titles coming out are Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Call of Duty Black Ops 4. A lot of people have been excited for those games and have been playing them. We've heard some good reviews, and obviously Red Dead Redemption is coming in the next 2 weeks, so it's really hotting up for games coming up to the holiday season. But we're going to jump straight back in and talk about Xbox updating avatars basically now, and they've changed from the old avatar they used to have. And I don't know if you watched the video on this where they explained that they're trying to be very inclusive towards everyone now, but that's the whole reason why they've sort of changed this now.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't. What are you on about? Like a certain event or something like
that? When they announced this, they did like an announcement video.
Did they? I haven't watched any announcement video. I just seen the like the publication is talking about how the avatars are back, updated in a drastic way. I don't know when did they take them away?
I think they've still been there, but
apparently they weren't. Apparently they're back, so they must have been taken away from some sort of. They originally unveiled its revised avatars during E3 last year, so 2017. So they must have got rid of the avatars around last year then. And then they brought them back now in like a bigger way somehow. I don't really know. It's just avatars. But I think the bigger update out of this takeaway is like the fact that they've got Dolby now, like Dolby Vision, which is like a more enhanced version of like for 4K streaming and audio and stuff like that, which is very important for like, what do they call them, audio files and things like that really want like the best quality of sound and video to sound and stuff like that. I think it's important for that more than anything.
Yeah, I also think Dolby supports 3D, I believe. There's a screenshot that's got an option for allowing for 3D, so I wouldn't hold me to that, but if it does support that, then obviously it's a good addition for people that have invested in 3D technology, which possibly hasn't took off. And now they've got an Xbox that's capable of doing that as well. If they've got the TV hardware, obviously.
Yeah, if they've got the relevant like hardware and audio like hardware to create that, that immersive environment, then yeah, it'd be really good for you. But in terms of that was only like really like was like the major thing to take away from that. There's the gaming news has not been as like, it's not even rife, has it really? Like nothing groundbreaking has happened. Like,
well, it has, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, but kind of. We're not like it's not been like big. Like this is things that we've already known in it for quite a while that was gonna happen in it. Like really, it's just confirming.
The good thing is it's happening, and obviously that's always going to be good to have things happen rather than something announce and not happen. It's what the industry wants.
Sure.
The good thing I want to take away from this, though, is that I feel like Xbox avatars are probably like they're really good. I know when I had an Xbox, it's just like a fun way to make a profile in a virtual way. And it's basically character creation. So it's building on the fact that not only are you playing video games on a platform, but you're building a character to use on that platform. A little bit like when Nintendo had the Miis. A lot of people took, inspiration from that and made a lot of different characters out of it.
Well, with the Miis as well, how they were also included in games, the Xbox avatars used to be used within, like, you remember the Kinect games? They used to use the avatars in that, didn't they? So maybe they're gonna reintroduce the avatars into new games again. Like, you can use your avatar and, like, say for example, you know how Smash Bros has that. Maybe like Soul Calibur will allow you to use your avatar, like things like that. Maybe they might like be edging towards like some type of implementation like that. What do you think?
It'd be interesting. I like the fact that they've got a lot of options for inclusion now. So there's things like genders and disabilities, and people's prosthetics can now accurately represent themselves through an avatar. I feel that's really good to show that, you know, this community is inclusive of people, that, you know, if that's their opinions and their beliefs, then they're inclusive of that, and they want to show that you're not just sectioned to pick in this or that. And, you know, in the real world it might be different, but you have to select that you can't be like that in a game, but now you can.
Yeah, well, it's truly representing exactly how they are in it. So it's how they feel like they are. Like, obviously, if you have a disability or you're in a wheelchair, it must be very hard to relate to any kind of gaming character, because from my knowledge, there's not many main characters that happen to have wheelchairs and like prosthetic limbs. Or there's becoming more and more now characters are being brought out to be gender neutral, like Link, for example. Link identifies neither as female or male. It's just genderless. So as you can see, gaming is, you know, game design, and it's taking a more of like a, you know, an open approach to characters and introducing them to a wider audience who are there, who like to play games but feel like they are underrepresented is it represented? Underrepresented in within video games. So I know, obviously I can relate to that, as like, as the years have grown on, there's been more main black characters in games, but still not as much. But it's growing a lot more though, and like it's more positive roles rather than like CJ from like San Andreas, you know what I'm saying? Like less stereotype roles. So this is like, it's a really good thing, and I really respect Microsoft for doing that. And I'm sure you was talking about how you have respect for their inclusion as well, which is a really big thing. Yeah, I think they're actually doing a lot at the moment, and they are doing a lot, to be honest. I'm actually kind of like PlayStation is sort of taking props from them, and we'll move into that now, where they're finally bringing in name changes for PSN, so you can now change your PSN ID. But they're taking what Microsoft has done and allowing one free change and then a paid change after that. Fair enough. Is it like that on the Switch as well? Can you do name changes yet, or free? I'm not sure. So Nintendo changed all the online service before Switch came out. It's a completely different thing. Yeah, which we'll get into anyway. But they are going to roll this out at the end of November. If you have a PSN name with like maybe a clan tag in it, if you used to play on COD back in the day and you want to change it now because you're not 13 anymore and you're not in that same clan, and you weren't able to do that because of digital downloads, you're now able to do it once for free, and then every time after that, I think it's $9.99 US. Yeah. Or if you've got a PS Plus account, it's $4.99. Which is fair enough, innit? I think it should be free, because I don't know how it could really like cost to change the name. But you know what? Let them rock in it. Xbox is doing it. Like, personally, I'm not going to change my PlayStation name, because you can just get another account if you really wanted to. Like, it doesn't cost to set up multiple accounts. So like, yeah, the problem is digital downloads across accounts now mean that you can't just change account. But you could just connect yourself to your account, your old account, no? Couldn't you really? Yeah, but then you would have to pay for Plus twice, wouldn't you? Yeah. That's interesting. There's like small problems, but I think It's just like
it's a good alternative to have now.
Me and you are connected on PlayStation, innit? So we get each other's downloads.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do think that is good in terms of, like, as Tom said, if you had a clan or like you had a really embarrassing name when you was younger and you feel like you've grown up a little bit more and you want to change your name to something a little bit more mature or more closer to your name or what you go by as of now. So fair enough. I think maybe putting a hard limit or like a charge limit on the name changes is probably good, because people might start taking the piss and just keep changing their name every day, which would cause a big problem. So it's not like Twitter or Instagram where you can just keep changing your name, because that's when people start to lose track of like what your @name is, and it's a bit weird, innit? Like when you change your name multiple times, you're trying to find someone you don't know what their name is anymore on Twitter. Like it's hard to find them. Yeah, so
I'm sort of glad, to be honest, that when I got my PlayStation, I was older, because my Xbox game was pretty tragic.
Would you like to share?
Yeah, it was a Villa _96_Stoney, but all the letters that could be replaced by numbers were replaced by numbers.
Oh, for fuck's sake! So you're telling me you had like zeros and stuff like that?
There's like a V1LL4.
Oh my gosh! Oh fuck!
So I'm sort of glad that I actually have a PlayStation at an older date, so I could just set up a simple username, rather than mess about with like a tragically long, unique one full of numbers and letters.
I won't share my PlayStation name on here just in case, because Actually, I don't really care. I'm not really online as much, but like, mine was Manga Rasta. I made it a long time ago when I was a kid. Yes, manga, anime, Rasta. Jamaican. I don't know. Like, I don't know why I did create that name, but it stuck though, and it's not really the worst name in the world. I've seen way worse names from like my friends and stuff like that. That's really, really terrible. And I didn't have any numbers in mind, so I'm alright.
Yeah. You didn't put like a clan tag at the start, maybe?
Nah, we had the clan tags in COD. You remember when you could add your own clan tag? So I had one on there, and I was a part of a couple clans still.
You weren't dedicated enough to put it in your PSN?
Nah. You must be crazy. I'm not putting it in my PSN. Like, I did have a couple other accounts back when PlayStation Online was free. Like, I had like some other ones I used to play on, like an American account, a Japanese account, and then like I had a COD account. Like the ones where we was doing like hacked lobbies and stuff like that. Like, that was my account for that, because I didn't want to get banned on my main. So like, yeah, that was then. That era was wild still. Like, not paying for online. Like, I remember when like always used to like take the piss out of Xbox people for playing online, but they did have the better servers though. So it was sad.
Yeah, but we'll move on. Sony, obviously we talked about this last episode. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll see that we did tweet this out, saying that our predictions in the last episode have come true, and Sony have confirmed that a new hardware, possibly the PlayStation 5, will be coming soon. Now, a lot of people said don't hold your breath, and Sony have said that it's not really going to be a massive change by the looks of it. So the CEO, Kenichiro Yoshida, has just said that at this point what I can say is that it's necessary to have next generation hardware. It makes sense. Sorry, I was just reading back then. But yeah, it does make sense that they're going to build something new with Xbox announcing that their new hardware is on the way. And obviously as well, we've got a small little detail that shows that it might not be a major departure from the PlayStation 4. So a lot of reports are saying that the fundamental architecture of the console will be pretty similar to the PlayStation 4. However, Sony recently patented a new technology that's like a enhanced backwards compatibility.
Like I'm looking at the patents right now, and what they're trying to do, which is click on, you're on the link right now, yeah. So go onto the one where go into the link that it says remastering by emulation, and look at the patent and stuff like that. It looks insane what they're about to do. Like they're literally, it's like it real time rewrites the like the textures.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So it's basically it's an emulation of a game, of older games, and they're gonna try and remaster the textures to put newer textures on the top of them. It looks like a very interesting concept, and if they can get this right and get this to work, it could be a game changer for them in the fact that Xbox this generation have had that backwards compatibility that PlayStation haven't had as much of.
Yeah.
But if they can now change that round and offer backwards compatibility but remastered through emulation, then that would definitely put them on the top of that sort of area.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it looks like it is going to, because looking at like what they're going to do with the emulation is something totally different to what Microsoft has done. Whereas they've just released the original game in its original form on Xbox, this looks like it's going to totally redo like older games, and I don't really know how, but I'm like reading it, but it's talking about something to do with like legacy, like legacy software, like each asset, such as a texture called for by a legacy software, such as a legacy computer game software, has a unique identifier associated with it. So I'm guessing the unique identifier can be like identified by this software, and then the texture is then like redone, like suited to something that would be more akin to the modern era, or like a new engine that this game has. The same company has made a newer engine, and it will be remastered to that instead, which could be really weird, looking at old games in such a new way. Like, for example, like the first Metal Gear might be like redone, or like I'm trying to think of like a really old game. The first God of War could be done in the new God of War engine, like things like that. So I'm not sure if they'll be using like the engine, but I think what's basically going to happen, by the looks of reading through from what you've just said as well, is that it's going to be sort of like Xbox, or like when you get a PlayStation 2 game on the PSN store. So you play the game, and it's like remastered to work on PS4, but then they go in and overlay all those graphics with new ones. Yeah, and they're all stored in like the data structure, and they all have the same identifier, so they can just switch them out at the same time. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what it looks like here. Like how the graphics look all old. It looks like it's just getting data and like filling in the gaps in order to make the image smooth rather than like clunky. So like just kind of like just anti-aliasing, but like real time anti-aliasing though, like on some of like the textures and stuff. I don't know. I don't really like. We have no idea about like texture, and we're not like. I don't think we know that much on it, but like that's what I'm getting from it. That it's gonna like fill in like the gaps in order to make up a better image. It's interesting to see what happened, because I'm not sure if they're going to give disc support for backwards compatibility or online only. But I'm guessing we're going to find out more about this possibly at E3 next year. And it's definitely an explanation as to why PSX is not happening this year now. Well, we already said this, innit? We said something big will be coming next year instead. But also, have you seen as well that the fact that like a lot of the heads of PlayStation keep saying that like the backwards compatibility feature is rarely used, Well, it's one of the most requested features. Of course, it's going to be rarely used because we don't have the feature. So, like, how are we going to use it if we don't have the feature? And if you're trying to call PlayStation Now a backwards compatibility service, of course we're not going to use it because it's terrible. We can't stream games. No one has a strong enough internet to do that. So for them to say that it's rarely used is wrong, because there's a ton of PlayStation games right now I would want to play that I can't, because I don't want to be bothered. I can't be bothered to plug in my PlayStation 3 and my PS2 and have my PS4 like all plugged in to try and play like some old games. Like, it's just long. Like, why can't we just all play on one system? The technology's there, the software's there. I just don't understand.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think that backwards compatibility for the next console from PlayStation is definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing.
I think, I'm not sure about disc stuff, but I feel like they might give a sort of Nintendo style selection to PS Plus members, maybe, because PlayStation have been trying to take down emulators sites as well and make emulators illegal.
You think so?
I mean, the fact that they've got this remaster by emulation patent, and the fact that they're trying to take down emulators, just like Nintendo did, and look what Nintendo come out with, it definitely seems like they're going towards that area. You know, Nintendo have bought out old games now with added features such as multiplayer. There's no reason why PlayStation can't bring out old games
with multiplayer.
Well, not with multiplayer, but with improved graphics for the modern day using their new techniques.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. If Nintendo have done it and it's successful to a degree, PlayStation can do it, and they'll have one up on Xbox then.
Exactly. Well, obviously, that's the one thing that like PlayStation and Nintendo has over Microsoft, especially Nintendo. They have such a rich back catalogue of like classic games. Obviously, Xbox started on the Xbox. That was when PlayStation was already on the PlayStation 2 era, and Nintendo was on the GameCube era. They have so many games that they could like bring back from their catalogue, remastered, that Xbox don't have, just because of the fact that like they just wasn't in the game. Like, they wasn't in the gaming industry yet. So there's so many. Obviously, they've got the PlayStation Classic, but there's analog games missing from that. Now, imagine if they brought back all the analog games as remasters on the PlayStation, the new PlayStation system. Now, how sick would that be? Like,
I think it's happening. I think the PlayStation Classic was sort of like what Nintendo did. It's testing the waters to see if the market's there. You
think they would do a PS2 Classic as well if this one's successful? Because it is successful. It seems to be.
Possibly,
people are buying it, yeah.
But I also think that they're testing the waters to see if people will buy these. And then if people are buying these, and the next logical step from there with this remastering by emulation thing is,
well, what do you think when they keep
emulators?
What do you think about when the heads keep saying that apparently this feature is useless and it's very underutilized and it's rarely used? What's your thoughts on that, Tom? Like, because I find that hard to believe.
I think it's marketing. I mean, they can't say that backwards compatibility is a good thing because their current generation console doesn't have it and their competitors does. So they're not going to back up that it's a good feature, are they?
Yeah.
Because then other people won't buy their game, their console, they'll buy the other console.
Yeah.
If they say it's not good, it also stops Xbox from thinking that they're working on something like that. And, you know, if the rumours are true, according to this Infinity Ward job that's been listed, that next-gen consoles are coming in 2019, if those rumours are true, then the fact that we've got like less than a year before that, and now Sony have patented that emulation thing.
Yeah.
I think once more details come out, they might be a bit more open about it. And
well, it's a bit confusing because obviously we're going to get onto the Infinity War job listing. That's a nice little segue. So that says it's coming in 2019. But if you notice, the head of PlayStation said that we don't expect the next gen console anytime before 2021. So I'm trying to think, is Sony and Microsoft, maybe they might be dropping different years, like Microsoft might be coming out with their console first instead of Sony? Or do you think things have been pushed forward a lot?
I think possibly. I think if anyone was going to release first, I think Xbox would release first. I think they've got the same team behind Scorpio working on their new console, and obviously, like the One X was a big push for Xbox console wise.
Yeah, but it was a commercial flop, though, wasn't it?
I think it still.
It didn't
did okay, but it's living off the back of what happened.
It didn't sell as well as the Xbox One S. The S sells pretty well. The slim version. Yeah,
but it's because it's cheaper and it's based at a. I think the problem is they tried to capitalize on like a Pro Edition console.
I'd say it's still $450, to buy one, which is a lot of money at the moment to like pay for like that system.
Mm-hmm. The problem is though they started the generation badly and they never caught up. I think they're going to try and get a head start. But at the same time,
this generation's been a bit whack, to be honest. When I really think about it, like there's not many games at all compared to like the last lot of games, like the PS3 era. Like this has been the shortest console era, I think, out of all of them.
I mean, I don't even know if it is next gen that's coming though, because I think hardware is not advancing as fast as it used to.
Nah, it's not. We're getting slower and slower, aren't we? Like, remember when like every year, like the amount of like,
well,
the amount of like, what's the things called, man, that are in the processors doubled, didn't it? Every year.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that it's not progressing, because hardware is progressing. The problem is the actual differences. Like it's progressing at the same speed probably, but the leap forward isn't as noticeable. So if you look at like the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4, like it's very noticeable, although less between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Then if you go from the PlayStation 4 to the Pro, you really don't notice that much until you actually realize, oh, okay, this does actually offer these things and it is useful to have that.
Yeah.
But again, like you're trying to sell a product and say that it's better than the last thing that you bought out. And if it's not as visible as what it was before, it's hard to try and push that on people. But I definitely think that Xbox will, like going back to the point, I think Xbox are more likely to release first. But I do think that Sony have definitely got something planned. I think it's marketing. Like there was rumors of them having development kits out last year.
Yeah, and
I firmly believe that was still the case, with all the recent rumors coming out about the fact that they are working on something. They haven't just started working on this. They've been working on this for a long time.
Like, remember when like we had a source that told us quite a while ago that PlayStation was working on something. A while ago now. Like, how long ago, Tom?
It's probably about 6 months. But I mean, the thing is, like in a life cycle of a console, people don't get access to development kits unless it's reasonably far along.
Yeah, definitely.
Which leads me to believe that, especially since Microsoft said this E3 they're working on a new console, that was them trying to get their foot in the door first, and it's understandable. And then Sony are sort of creeping out and saying, okay, now we're releasing something new. And then the patent leaks. Now, the patent technology, that doesn't have to be in the hardware. Yeah, they can easily have hardware, build a console, and then design the emulation around the hardware that's already in the console.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if all those components work with what it needs, then they don't have to change a lot. So, I think that next Christmas we will be seeing 2 new consoles.
You think next Christmas?
Yeah.
That's wild. I'm thinking maybe 2020 we'll see the PlayStation console. They need to still get Last of Us and all of their other games out first before they announce a new console.
We'll see. We know that what's it's coming out on. We know that there's possibly 4 or 5 games that have been announced for next gen already.
Yeah,
now they wouldn't have started development on them or even considered them unless they knew that next gen was coming pretty soon.
So we've got the new COD, we've got Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. What else have we got, Tom?
I'm not sure if Halo.
Oh yeah, the next Halo is supposed to be
the next Halo.
Yeah, the next Halo, and there's a 5th one. There's something else.
But either way, it shows that there's obviously something on the horizon, and it will be here within the next 2 years.
I'm really sad if they push Death Stranding in that to next gen. Like Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, Last of Us 2. I wouldn't even be surprised though if they did.
No, I think they're going to try something different. I think they'll release it on current gen, but also on the next gen.
And the next gen as well.
They've got the ability, if they're using the same hardware components, to enhance it for the PlayStation 5. So they'll be saying this game comes out on the PlayStation 4, and then it can be enhanced to the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah, it's just going to be difficult.
It won't be as good as a true next-gen game, but it also serves a purpose for the crossover to please all community.
But that's just going to be difficult for consumers, obviously, because they're going to get rid of the PlayStation 4. They've already stopped doing production of the original 4. Only the Slims are produced now, and the Pro. So that already goes to show something. They're going to stop doing the Slim. They'll probably carry on with the Pro for a bit, and then they'll probably just get rid of it. Because if the 5 is a lot more powerful than the Pro, what's the point?
It's still like a good console, though.
Yeah.
The thing is, if they're using the same hardware components, then there's every reason that they can do what they just did. The thing is that they're more like PlayStations. They're more like computers now than they were before. Mm-hmm. And that bodes really well for moving to a next generation.
Yeah, I'm still all in on my idea, how I feel like consoles are going to move towards a modular type deal sooner or later, because it only just makes sense to me that they move towards that. Like, Microsoft's definitely moving towards that. That's what I feel with the whole play everywhere. We don't care. We're releasing it on Xbox and PC at the same time. They're really trying to merge the two audiences together, aren't they?
Yeah, I do want to say though that the reason it's really important for them being more like computers now, development wise, when developing it, that gives them way more flexibility to develop for something like that when moving on to something that is very similar, rather than before. The architecture of a PlayStation 3 was pretty different to the architecture of a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, PlayStation
which
3
makes it hard to make a game compatible for both.
Yeah, the PlayStation 3 architecture was, some people tried to say it was quite difficult to develop for, wasn't it? And
it is.
Yeah, especially with the Dream, what's it called? It was in a processor, but you know what I'm on about in it, the Dream thing that they had in there. Was that GPU that they had in there? It was called Dream. Or was it their processor was called Dream?
I'm not too sure. I know things about it, but
you worked with something called you worked with Pyre, didn't you? Is that
we have to sign a what's it, NDA? So
yeah.
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say about certain things.
Well, the PlayStation 3 is out now, Tom. What NDA do you need to sign for that now? It's done.
You have to. It's still hardware and stuff you're accessing.
True.
Their tools. I mean, if you're interested in the architecture of a PlayStation 2, you could probably find out on the internet. Yeah, I think you could find out on the internet.
You can buy a dev kit.
It's pretty widely known, but
you can buy a dev kit right now for £133.
It's pointless though, because
there's no unless you want to make your own PlayStation 3 game, there's no point.
Still pointless.
You probably can just make a PlayStation 3 game now anyway, so it wouldn't even really matter. Their dev kits look so ugly as well.
Yeah, they always
look like a huge big black box. That's it. Like it looks like a videotape.
That's the point. But so we're talking about next gen and hardware and stuff. And there's just like one more thing that we want to cover in the gaming section that happened, and that was that Nintendo were planning to release a new Switch as well, according to the Wall Street Journal in Japan, which again is cited to arrive in the second half of 2019, possibly as early as summer though, not Christmas time. There's rumours that things like the screen might be improved. They might release like an improved version and a dumbed down version, so they might have Joy-Cons that don't have the full capability with motion controls and stuff, so it's just more like a handheld device. And not even, you can't even do the whole put it onto the screen, so it's just a handheld instead. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
you
like
just clip them in, but they're not like wireless.
So like a cheaper version then.
Yeah, basically. There's rumours of that, and they already have cheaper Joy-Cons made by third parties out there, that Nintendo are officially licensed. So, there's obviously the capability for that.
They always keep saying how like they're going to keep supporting the 3DS, but I really think that they're trying to replace it. In my opinion, like I think they're trying to figure out a way how they can get the Switch to be the new 3DS without having to have the two screens.
I'm not sure, because obviously they're still supporting the 3DS very well, but I think now we're starting to see a few of the games from DS being ported over to Switch in a way.
I think that's their way of testing out whether it can work or not.
Mm-hmm. I think it definitely can work there. I think we'll wait until the new actual next generation Pokemon game comes out, because that's sort of where they rely on the hardware. Obviously, we know the new Animal Crossing is coming to it as well. Once games like that are on the Switch, you will start to see people move over from 3DS, I think, then, and then they can start to actually stop supporting that as much.
I think it's a little bit telling as well how the new Smash Bros is not out on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the old Smash Brothers was on the 3DS and was on the Wii U. Don't you think that's a little bit like, not strange, but like it's on the Switch because it's already a handheld game as well, kind of. Mm-hmm. So there's no point of putting it on the 3DS as well. So this is what leads me more to believe that they are definitely, I think that they're trying to not at the moment, but they're trying to step away from the 3DS though. Not fully step away from it, but like I mean, like they're trying to make the Switch become more like the handheld device to go to, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw something like a Switch Mini.
Oh yeah, that's true. Wouldn't really surprise me if they actually brought out a double screen Switch, like just a handheld version, but it has all the Switch games on there. Like, but you can also play like 3DS games. That'd be amazing. Obviously, it's a lot. That's a lot of work to do. But imagine having like two Switch screens. It's a bit of a big console, but it's still pretty handheld. So, I don't know. That's pretty interesting. It does look like a DS, to be honest. Like the layout. So, imagine just putting another screen on top and you can fold it, and you got yourself a 3D Switch.
Yeah, I mean that's it's perfectly fine. I think that's like, it's confusing because it's not been that long since the Switch came out, but I think an upgrade is possibly needed for something like that. Someone have to wait and see.
Someone like you who already has a first generation Switch, would you be open to trading in yours and paying an extra bit of money to get the new one, or would you keep your original and maybe buy the newer version in the future?
It's a hard question. So, like, it all depends on what the capabilities are of the new console. Like, if it's a relevant enough upgrade, then I'd consider it. But if it's just like it can play in 1080p instead of 720p in handheld mode, and I don't know, like there's not a lot else I could think that would actually benefit it. So unless it's like a drastic change, then probably not.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, what do you think was the right amount to charge for people if they did want to get the new Switch? Like 50, 100, 75?
75 for me seems like a reasonable price in the middle of where you'd expect. And, you know, if I could trade my Switch in and pay 75 to get a new one, and it was worth the improvement for 75 quid, I probably would.
Yeah.
The only trouble is I feel like that might not be the case. But we'll have to wait and see, you know. Nintendo consoles have quite a good aftermarket where they get traded in and then bought again in a lot of shops. Yeah. So
especially good condition as well. If you keep it in good condition, you definitely be able to get your money out of it. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, it's worthwhile, and we'll just have to stay tuned and see what actually happens. There's only one more interesting thing left, which is that Nintendo obviously released 3 more games on their NES lineup for the Switch Online. Those games included NES Open Tournament Golf, Solomon's Key, and Super Dodgeball. But the interesting thing is they actually released a special save data version, or just a special save data like file for The Legend of Zelda that was part of the original lineup last month. And it allows people to start with basically most of the things in the game. So things like a lot of rupees and a lot of items, things including like the White Sword, Magical Shield, Blue Ring, and Power Bracelet. And it makes it a lot easier to sort of jump in for newcomers. And it's what Nintendo are trying to do. So they're trying to, this is their words, so they're trying to offer fun new entry points into fan favourite games. And they've also promised to release more special save data for other NES titles in the future.
It's pretty interesting that they've done this now. It's like they're almost taking emulation and modding culture and like trying to make it become more of them. Like, see, this is what I mean, like, by like Nintendo doing this. Like, they're just basically just doing what like emulation and modding culture's already done for their games. So I understand why they've done this. Like, I just don't know why they just didn't team up with the emulators, like people. Maybe they have, I don't know. It's been famous where companies have like given contracts to these people before, like back in the day. Like when the guy who hacked the PSP, Sony gave him a job to make updates to counter the hacks. So like maybe Nintendo have employed people who did these emulation sites and ROMs.
Who knows? I guess we won't find out, but it's interesting to see them advertising older games and new start points to like a younger market as well. I think that's good, that people should know about video game history and where these games they're playing actually come from and how they can be exciting. And, you know, okay, you're not going to put 30 hours into it maybe, but have all the items for free and see, do you enjoy the game? Like, just have fun on it. I like that. I like that they're not telling you to actually
just play like well, they know
grind.
Like, but I say they know like the climate of gamers now, where like, you know, back in the day, like Zelda, you used to play and you just had to just grind through it. But now they know that gamers just not that they just want things, but they just want to be. Their characters are a lot more powerful than they're used to. Do you know what I mean? Like they have a lot more things that they can do. Whereas Zelda, Link, they just had like a couple items and weapons that you started off with and wasn't particularly that powerful. So to play the game now where he's souped up like and he's super powerful, then I guess it might be a little bit more fun for people to play.
Yeah, I definitely would probably get into it more now than I would before, because I was a bit took back by obviously the massive time that it would take to progress in the game, but now you can have a little bit more fun with it and be a bit more relaxed. But we'll move on from that and actually go into things that happen in film and TV over the last few weeks. And obviously we spoke about this a lot before, but Venom actually released to a few mixed reviews actually, but it did set box office records for October, which is it's like a weird one. Like, what are your opinions on this? Like, obviously it's got reviews ranging in like the 2 to 4 star range, but it's set box office records for October, being, I think it's shattered the American box office record with an 80 million opening weekend.
Yeah, that was really surprising, but I think that's literally just because of the sole fact that Marvel and everything surrounding that universe is just amazingly big at the moment. Like, I can't expect nothing less from a Venom film, as like it's been asked for quite a while. And also there's a lot from the Venom trailers which a lot of people couldn't really piece together. So I think people went in there with a bit of an open mind. I heard a lot of people telling me to just go in there with an open mind, don't think too much about the film. Yeah, I'm looking to get down to watching it next week, hopefully. And by the time episode 18 comes out, I should have my full thoughts on the Venom film. I don't know if you're probably going to watch it. I don't know. We should probably watch it together. And we should have some thoughts, maybe, if Tom does come and watch it as well. Because I've heard some people saying it's good. I heard some people saying it was bad. I heard some people saying that, like, it was an okay origin film and debut for Venom. They could see why it started off as a PG-13 film, which would be 12A in the UK, but then also ended up to being a 15 because they had like a couple mature scenes in there. I think they were trying a little bit too hard, and they should have maybe either doubled down on the PG-13 and went friendly, rather than trying to force in like some edgy, mature themes in there. Because Venom's not necessarily a villain, he's an anti-hero, so he's not even like, he's like neutral, he's neither bad or good, he just does his own thing. So it bothers me that they've now set up this trilogy and have tried to shoehorn it into the universe. So, especially with the Fox Disney acquisition is about to be complete by the beginning of 2019. It'd be interesting to see where Venom is actually going to fit within all of this universe.
Yeah, I am not sure how much he will fit in the universe. I think it's Sony obviously trying to cash in on having the Spider-Man IP.
Well, Sony have got so much going on with that Spider-Man IP at the moment. Like, they got Into the Spider-Verse, which apparently is going to be its own thing, and they're going to have multiple films from that now.
See, I'm happy with that. Like,
which I think is cool.
Do that. That's fine. Fine with me. That film looks cool. I'll watch that film.
That's his own universe, by the way, Tom. Like, that's totally separate from anything. So that should have a good couple of films. Like, so we're probably going to get a Spider-Gwen film. Probably going to get, like, other Spider-Mans are going to have their own films. So we're focusing on Miles Morales in this one. We could be focusing on, like, Spider-Man 2099 or Spider-Man Noir or another symbiote. We could see animated. We could see animated Carnage, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A Carnage film is on the way, by the way, but it's not going to be a rated R film. It's going to be more towards 15 and PG-13, which means that the Carnage film is probably going to be very tame.
I think that's okay, though, because I don't think you have to show stuff like that.
It's going to upset the comic fans.
Yeah, but see, I was reading this earlier. Carnage isn't like a massively graphic comic. It
is. It is. It's just, I've read it. I've read some of the stories. Yeah, Carnage he's not massively graphic, but he kills people in very gruesome ways, though. Like within the comics, yeah. So,
but I don't know if you have to show that all the time. Like,
nah, of course you don't.
If there's a story that's good enough, I don't think that has to be there.
Nah, of course you don't.
Like, sort of moving back to the point on Venom, I do think people only turned up because they were interested to see what it was like. And to be fair, I think people actually like the film as long as they're not invested already in the universe and aren't a comic fan.
Yeah.
Because I think as like someone that just casually watches Marvel films or superhero films, you go into this and you're like, oh, that was a cool film. Like, I like that. If you know all the stuff behind it, you probably go in and be like, well, I don't like this. Why is this happening? Like, you sort of already go in with bad intentions anyway. And no matter if even clear in your head, like, you'll still go out and go, well, that was good, but I'm comparing it to the Marvel film I saw and it's not as good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also pretty interesting about how the budget of the film was 100 million. But, like, obviously Venom's, like, eclipsed that budget already by, like, getting, like, 205 million worldwide. Mm-hmm. So that's already done. But I didn't expect it to do better than Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper's A Star Is Born. I really thought people would be coming out to watch that film.
Yeah, that was surprising, but
I looked at the trailer of the film. It got a little hard. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it's got Dave Chappelle in there.
Yeah, I think the problem is superhero sells at the moment.
Yeah, it really does.
And it has done for the last, well, since the MCU really started, probably the last 5 years, it's become massive. Like, that is what people will go to watch now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've seen that with Avengers setting the records in was it last May?
Yeah, it's set the. There's been a bunch of like all those films have just been setting records. Like, obviously, like, this could, like, just go on to the fact that, like, Ryan Coogler's coming back to direct the Black Panther sequel. That was another record-setting film as well.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone just knows that superhero stuff just sells. Like, it's such a big driving force in Hollywood at the moment. Like, people are not going to watch, like, I want to say, like, standard films, but they're not looking to watch those kind of, like, normal dramas anymore, like A Star Is Born. Like, people are turned off by things like that. They're more interested in watching things like Venom and, like, more fantasy, mature type films, like, which is really, really good. And obviously, I'm really happy that Ryan Coogler is back for the sequel, which potentially means that Kendrick Lamar and TDE could be doing a soundtrack for Black Panther 2 as well, because Ryan Coogler actually got Kendrick on board. So this is it's an all-round win-win for everything. Again, good new music, good new film from the Black Panther series. I'm excited to see where they go forward with the series. Ryan Coogler is a great director. potentially could see Gambino in this film, because he was asked to be in Black Panther 1 and was brought on to hear music and look at the script last time. So I'm really happy and I'm really excited for the new sequel. It's just going to show that, like, yeah, superhero does sell right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just literally going to mention that all the stuff that we have for this section for films and TV is all based on superhero stuff.
Yeah,
like nothing else is big news. It's just that. And then obviously the thing that happened this week as well, that James Gunn is now going to be writing and directing the Suicide Squad sequel, which is surprising because obviously Disney fired him. Now DC have picked him up. Like, we were slating DC last episode and the episode before that a little bit, but the footage I've seen from the new Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix looks pretty incredible. That film's going to be a really good film. I can tell you that now just from like the few clips I've seen. Like, you can just tell that the setting is right and the idea behind the film is good, and they're not trying to do something out of the ordinary. Like, it's just a traditional gritty Joker film. And I think that works well for the origin story of the Joker.
Yeah.
And obviously now... Sorry, go on.
No, let's carry on, man.
And obviously now we've got James Gunn writing and directing for Suicide Squad, which was a bit of a flop. Now Suicide Squad 2 is completely changed. Like, the fact that the person that wrote Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel, which was a massive hit for them, is now on the other side. I think it's great. Like, I know all the stuff that happened, and like, I think, to be honest, people should forget stuff like that. Like, it's a bit petty, and yeah, some of the things he said wasn't right, but I think people try and, you know, without getting political or too into it here, I think people try and get people sacked for the sake of feeling gratitude within themselves or a sense of accomplishment these days. But, you know, fair play, DC have hired him, and, you know, they've took that risk, and it might pay off for them, and it will definitely offer more of a more competition if DC get a few good films on the go then to compete with the MCU.
I was just going back to what you said about, like, you know, like the controversy and everything like that. Yeah. See, I wouldn't, like, say for example, if this was Disney firing James Gunn over those tweets, yeah, Disney was a squeaky clean company and nothing's ever been tied to them due to controversy, and they've never fired anyone else for having done much more terrible things in their office, then fair enough. But you're forgetting that Disney owns so many different entities here, and they've had so many other people that have done way worse things, such as sexual assaults and rapes, and they've been let off. Or stepped down from their role or whatever within Disney. Well, not within Disney, but within the corporations that they own, because they own a lot, by the way. And and let them just get off with a payment. Yeah, they fired James Gunn over tweets. I really don't know. It is a fine line, obviously, between... Joe, I thought they were really distasteful, the tweets. Of course, they were very, very distasteful. To fire him and not let him do a direct to film when these tweets are already out, they were already known by Disney as well, which is the worst thing, because if Disney already knew about them, why did it take you 2 whole successful films to then fire him? It's stupid, in my opinion. And the guy who brought up the tweets has been done for sexual assaults. It was all one big cycle of bullshit, in my opinion. And once I started to read more and more on it, I just thought it was just everyone's being hypocrites at the same time. So
there's a lot of companies out there that just sort of react to the public, but
they have to, especially Disney. Remember, Disney's customers are moms. They are moms. They are outraged moms, and people got their kids. They got their kids watching these films and things like that, and they're hearing the news that he said these things, and it's like, oh my god, like he said these things on tweets. They don't understand the internet that well, and they just get outraged.
I still think the film would have done well. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
By the time the film came out, no one would care about that. It'd move on. Like,
of course, the film would have done well. It's not talking about it's not talking about the film though. It's just talking about. Let's think about Disney and their image. They always have to keep up this facade that they're the best company in the world and they're so nice. And Disney's never done anything wrong in the world. Yet they've done. Disney have been accountable for racism in the past a lot in their old animations. Why are we not holding them accountable for that?
Yeah, I still think that they could back themselves up and just say, like, look, we understand that, and trust me, like, we're going to reprimand him, and but
oh, come on, Tom, it's not 2001. What does reprimand mean?
Yeah, but he's not done anything that is out. Yeah, fair play if he sexually harassed someone, then fine. But it's a few tweets. Like, just say, look, we apologize for any tweets caused on our behalf. That is
no, they can't.
That does not. That we do not condone that, and it doesn't fit with our.
I'm not opposing. I'm not opposing to that. I'm just saying that's not going to work for Disney. Disney are too big of an entity and too big of a corporation. Is there a problem in the first place for Disney making it so known that they're so close to the Marvel? That if they left Marvel on their own as their own entity but still owned them and had nothing to do with them, no one would give a shit. No one would care. They would just let Marvel be Marvel. But it's because Disney have vocally said about how much the connection between Marvel and Disney is so strong here now, and Star Wars as well, that they need to cover their own asses. It's just the fact that, like, Disney, they care about their image so much. You think they don't, but they really do care about their image. It's not like they're not EA, they're not Sony or anyone. It is Disney, Walt Disney, the company. Like, you got to think about it. As I said, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing. I don't think it wasn't a fireable offense in my opinion. There's people that are still got their jobs to this day, and they've done a lot more worse things.
Yeah, my point is, I still think they can keep their image. I understand it's Disney, but at the same time, like, for a month you have outraged. For a month you have outraged moms. By the time the film comes out, they won't remember. And if they do, and their kids crying because they really want to go and watch the film, they're going to give in. Like, I think that people are being too PC, and like, the tweets aren't good. Release a statement and say you don't agree with his actions, and anything that was said is not representative of the film or the company.
But as I said, you're just thinking about it in such a narrow way. Let's not stop thinking about Twitter and, like, our industry and the culture and, like, inside of, like, games and music and stuff like that. Just think about outside people and what they think about things. When they see stuff on CNN and NBC and Fox News talking about how this guy said all these things, they're not going to explain that it was just tweets and it was jokes. They're going to spin it in a way where he's actually done these things. That's why. People won't go and research it. They won't go and research what Twitter is. They probably think Twitter is his diary or something mad. You never know that these people don't use social media. They might use Facebook at best. And that's not the best place to get your source of news from, is it? So
I still think that by the time the film would have come out, I don't think that many people
I don't think so, because people still talk about it to this day. They're still upset about it, and some people are still hating on James Gunn. So it's obviously not been forgotten.
When's Guardians 3 going to be coming out?
Well, it's been
2021.
No, it's been indefinitely delayed because they don't even have anyone attached to the film at the moment.
Yeah, but when was it coming out? It was set to come out in 2020 or 2021.
It's coming out in 2021 after the Avengers 4. So, I don't know. I really don't know, innit? Like, we'll just have to see. we'll just have to see. But this is another thing I linked in to talk about Disney. Well, Disney, the Fox and Disney deal is going to be done by January the 1st, 2019. It's posing to be one of the biggest mergers, like, I think ever. Like, the media. This would mean Disney will own like a gross amount of media, like the market.
So these are like some things that they'll own. So they'll own X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, Die Hard, Aliens, Predator, Avatar, Planet of the Apes, Kingsman, Home Alone, Night of the Museum, Ice Age, Buffy the Vampire, X-Files, 24, The Simpsons, possibly, but Fox are intending to keep that.
No, The Simpsons is safe. Simpsons is safe underneath Fox. They're not going to be doing anything crazy with The Simpsons. Fox has told them that they are not allowed to do anything with that IP just because it's too protected. Which is pretty interesting. And they've got the whole Whedonverse as well, which is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and Firefly. All of those properties are all going to Disney. So that's
it's exciting. Like, Disney obviously do good reboots. Again, there's going to be fans that obviously are upset about this. Because as soon as everything goes to Disney, yes, they are getting a monopoly. Yes, they are doing certain things, but, you know, they're producing some good stuff.
I was going to say, what are we going to do about it? Like, might as well, like, just let it rock in it. And what else? What can we do about it now?
I just want to mention as well this week, like, that there was news that Disney's new TV series for Star Wars, The Mandalorian, there's an image released of that and all the details were released. Jon Favreau is directing it. And, you know, it sounds great and looks good. Like, if Disney weren't the right people to take all this stuff on board, the amount of technology and investment they have to be able to just push these IPs to another level, like, they can do that without having to worry. And if it fails, then fine. But, like, they can experiment, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I think that's the best thing for all these IPs. Like, there's a lot of these IPs that have been dead in the water for years, and the ones that aren't dead, like, don't touch them, leave them as they are. But the ones that are dead, like, you can feel free to do whatever you want with them and honestly make them into something good.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Definitely. I think it's obviously a really good merger, and obviously we're going to see what actually comes from this, because obviously we've got X-Men, probably going to have, you know, Fantastic Four, that's all going to get rebooted. But yeah, it's about it. We're going to move on to well, I think that's everything really for films and TV. It's not a slow week, it's pretty superhero heavy. But yeah, we're going to move on to music. Just a quick, like, mention as well that Jared Leto is going to be playing Mobius in his own film, which is begin filming in early 2019. Oh, Morbius. Nobody asked for a Morbius film. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why they got Jared Leto. Does that mean he's done with DC? I have no clue. So I'm just going to leave it there, and we're going to move on to music. Music is, as usual, it never slows down. Every week there's usually some massive releases, every 2 weeks. So new releases, I'm just going to start. Got Quavo Huncho, just came out. Mud Boy by Shet Wes, Drip Harder by Lil Baby and Gunna, Tints by Addison Paak and Kendrick Lamar. The Kozart by Chief Keef, which is really terrible. It's like an EDM Chief Keef album. It's really horrible.
Yeah, that does sound terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. He basically basically he recorded songs to drill beats, but like he had to fulfill his contract on his last label, so they put all EDM beats over his vocals. It's really terrible, Tom. You need to listen to it. It's laughable. Young Sinatra 4 by Logic, surprisingly is pretty good. Square Up, the single by Zach Fox, which is hilarious and is really cool, and you should listen to it. Ella May, her debut album is finally out now. I kind of don't really rate it that much, but there you go. There you have it. New TDE signee, Reason, his new album, debut. Free Lunch EP by Wale.
I thought that was by that Lunchbox Lewis.
Nah. It's by Wale. Quote marks end quote marks by Usher and Zaytoven. New collab mixtape that came out last night. Surprise release.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah. That's what that album's called. I don't know why it's called A. Maybe Atlanta, because they're both from there. Greener on the Other Side by AM and Skengdo, 2 drill artists from the UK. Immigrant by Belly. Belly's really cool. He's signed to the Weeknd's label. Trench by 21 Pilots. 6 by You Me at 6. I didn't even know they were coming out with their 6th album now, which is just long. It's About Time. I don't know whose album that is. It's About Time.
It doesn't matter. It's about time.
Well, It's About Time. That's a new album.
It's about time they released a new album.
Dime Trap by T.I. I haven't listened to that yet, but I've seen you listen to it. What's it like?
No idea. I can't remember.
Well, there you have it. Anyway, and Malibu.
Just have a look.
Malibu Night.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. It's a pretty decent album.
Pretty decent.
Yeah.
T.I.'s a legend.
I'd check out Dime Trap if you have the chance.
Yeah. And then Malibu Nights by Lani. We had that on the playlist last week. Fully Loaded. I can't remember who Fully Loaded is. This is a bunch of this is just everything that came out this week, and there's so much music to get through. It's pretty hard. Who's Fully Loaded done by? Oh, It's About Time was by Nile Rodgers and Chic. That's who it was by.
I think it's Shy Glizzy.
Oh yeah, Shy Glizzy. Fully Loaded is by Shy Glizzy, and then you got King by the one, the only King Soldier Boy.
I'm in
as well. This is apparently the last album of the King Soldier series. It's called King.
I think that series should have ended a time ago.
Isn't he on King Soldier 8 now or something?
He's just on King now.
Oh,
he drop the numbers completely.
Fuck.
He's like the Fast and Furious of music.
Oh, and Mario's got a new album out as well called Dancing Shadows. I see you've listened to it. Whack.
Yeah, it's not Mario. It's like there's old school Mario, and then there's Mario that sings a bit now. I don't know what he's trying to do with the album. It didn't really work for me.
You couldn't see what he was trying to do with it.
I went through all the songs and I was trying to listen and trying to find something that I liked, and it just didn't hit it off for me. It seems too I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's anything that really jumps out on the album. Nothing hits you as oh, you know what, that's a good song. There's either a good beat, or the lyrics are good, or the vocals are good. It's just mediocre at best.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bit upsetting because I really like Mario, but I mean, you got to do more. There's not just, you can't just live off Let Me Love You and Just a Friend.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really produced a lot since that.
True. Well, fuck knows, innit? I had no idea he even came out with an album, but yeah, that's out too.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, so
just popped up.
So yeah, those are the new releases for the week. Go check that out. I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple of things sprinkled in from some of these new albums in the new playlist that will be coming out next week. Remember, the weekly playlist is updated weekly, as it says in the name. Go check that out. Search us, 808s and Joysticks weekly playlist. Please add the playlist, and don't forget to check back every week for the playlist, or go on to my profile and re-add it. Young _ T, or just type in Tara Haywood and you should be able to find me on Apple Music, or go on to 808s and Joysticks on Spotify and you should be able to find the playlist there and the podcast there all in one place, just in case you can't find them. Just moving on, because we actually are like getting quite pressed for time now. 3.3 million in revenue in the first week. That is what Lil Wayne's The Carter 5.
Nah, I thought it was
amassed.
Soulja Boy.
No, was it Soulja Boy wish he got 3.3 million in a week, that guy.
I know the last time he would have got 3.3 million.
When Soulja Boy...
let alone in a week, like in a year, maybe in 3 years.
When Soulja Boy Tell Him the album came out, and that was his last 3.3 million. To be honest, Soulja Boy does pretty well, like money-wise. Like, he's not broke. So...
yeah, I don't know how. But...
it's because, think about it, he's probably invested in tech companies and stuff like that, because he is pretty tech savvy. So I could see him doing like what Ray J's done. I'm like, because Ray J's invested in a lot of tech companies.
What, releasing songs about hitting it first?
Yeah, there's that too. But like, well, he's invested in tech companies as well. Yeah, so the Carter 5 amassed that amount in its first week compared to Eminem, who got 1.8 million. Is this going to show that like Wayne can still survive in this climate, whereas Eminem really can't?
Yep.
It's just as simple as that.
Mainly because the features on Wayne's album were far and beyond what Eminem can get now. Like, the Eminem style of... He tried to go into like poppy rap, and now he's trying to go back to being like hardcore. Like, I don't want to say his time's past, because I do like his older stuff, but I just feel like he's not that relevant anymore. And especially with this whole Machine Gun Kelly shit that he started, like, to me, he made himself less relevant, because like, you're associating yourself with Machine Gun Kelly. And while I like both of their music from different eras, like, if you're associating yourself with Machine Gun Kelly, I'm not going to put you in the same league as like Kanye and Wayne and people.
Yeah, exactly. I totally understand that. I just don't think that like Eminem has it in him anymore to produce quality music like that. Obviously, Lil Wayne, he's developed so many styles. Like, the new rappers in the game are Lil Wayne's kids. Like, he has, their style is from him, so he can still spit on those kind of like modern beats and not sound like he's old or out of place, whereas Eminem, he really can't. I just don't know why does he struggle so much, like, to rap over like modern beats and sound updated. Like, he sounds really outdated.
He is outdated.
But yeah, but like, Wayne's albums have been coming out for 5 years, and you can hear some songs in there that were definitely produced in like 2014, and they still sound good.
I mean, the Ashanti song, I'm not sure when that was produced.
Oh yeah, like, that sounds like
old.
It sounds old. And the Travis Scott song, Travis was rapping in a style that he doesn't even rap in anymore.
Yeah, but
so
I dig it. Like, I like the album.
Yeah, the album. Yeah, I think the album is really good as well. It's 23 songs, but like, I think it sounds pretty like good.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there might have been some tracks that maybe shouldn't have been on there.
Could have been, yeah, there's definitely filler on there, but what album doesn't have filler in this like new streaming climate? So,
yeah, I feel like definitely after the wait for Carter 5, he decided to just chuck stuff on that he liked anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Why the hell not?
There must be so much in like the studio sessions and the back catalogue that didn't make the album. There's so many songs that people were like, yeah, I recorded for Carter 5. Yeah, I recorded for Carter 5. Like, all these features, Drake didn't even make the album. So you gotta just think how many of those kind of songs that they made together didn't make the album. True. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty interesting still. Definitely pretty interesting. Let's move on as well. Did you, I don't know if you heard anything, but like, or has like listened to Joe Budden podcast where Chance the Rapper was on there? And basically Chance was offered the Apple deal first. And that was really interesting and telling, because he didn't have Colouring Book at the time, but he only had Surf done. And they didn't want Surf. They wanted Surf and Colouring Book. But they wasn't going to give Chance 20 million. They were going to give him something a lot less. But I just find it really interesting, like, what would have happened if Chance was in Drake's position?
I still think Chance is like, you know, I sort of see what you mean. Like, would he have blown up even more than he has done now?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I feel like Drake was already really well known, and I feel like the only reason that Apple deal worked so well is because Drake and Apple combined is a massive success. And while Chance and Apple combined will also be a big success, and I think it was because they did release like exclusively for a week on there.
No, Colouring Book was on there for like, I think 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, exclusively.
Yeah, it was on Apple for quite a while. They gave him 500,000 for that, by the way. That's how much he got paid. Which wasn't even that great. Like, he said he used all of that for promo.
But at the same time, he still got money for promo. Like, is it a good deal? Well, I do think that it's only because Drake was already a massive name before.
Yeah.
Chance obviously coming with his first solo project. I said his first first official solo project that's not a mixtape.
Yeah. And to be honest, he did say a lot about how he doesn't know whether he's going to sell it or not this time, or he said he's not quite sure like what to do. But he made 6 million off the 3 hats though last year, which is pretty good. Like, I had no idea how he made that much money off those hats, but he said that until he can figure out a way how to make some new sick hats, he's going to keep selling these ones.
That's just what he does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty well known for the hat before. Obviously the 3 hat, like Chance 3 being on the album cover and everything, like, it is quite symbolic, so it makes sense really that he got a lot from that.
You definitely need to listen to the whole thing still, Tom. I think you'd be really interested in it because I know Chance is one of your mans. So like, he talks about how like all the money and stuff for the 3 hat is gonna go to his daughter and stuff like that. So like, she's forever like good, like in life if anything ever happens to him.
Yeah, I see him, like, I follow him on social media quite a lot, and he's always posting stuff with his daughter, and he's a nice guy. Like,
yeah, he is. Listening to the podcast really made me respect him even more. Like, I thought like he was getting a little bit lame, like with the certain things that he was doing, but like when he really explained to me, he is just a regular guy. Like, he just does regular stuff. He said, I don't have a flashy car. He goes, I just got a regular like a Lexus or something like that.
But he got that old school Volvo.
Yeah, he said he's just got a regular car. He just has a good house, like just a normal suburban house. Like, he doesn't have like a mansion or anything. Like, he said he's got nice stuff. Like, he can buy nice stuff. Like, he's like, mom and dad are always going to be okay, like in life now. Like, but he's like, I'm not, like, I don't have chains and things like that though.
Yeah, and you do see that a lot with a lot of the younger ones, but I was going to go on a point, like, for me, some of his older stuff was a lot more personal.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that a little bit more.
I think I enjoyed 10 Day and Acid Rap. But that's the consensus between us anyway, that we enjoyed 10 Day and Acid Rap a lot more than Colouring Book was still really good. But once we all first started listening to it, we all seen that we wasn't messing with it as much, especially as it was very much a God album. Like, it was very close to like a lot talking about like God and stuff, and well, I've got no problem with that because I've grown up listening to Kanye West and a lot of other people that, like, you know, to do with God and stuff, and like I myself was christened, but I have a very, you know, very, you know, personal opinion on religion. So like, it's not even like a fact of that. Like, I don't mind listening to that, but it was very different to Acid Rap, and I'm sure you can agree, Tom. Like, think about Acid Rap and Colouring Book, and totally two different projects.
Yeah, they are two different projects, but I was listening to or reading something about Post Malone this week. He was doing an interview. I can't remember if it was on something. I think it was. I can't remember what, but I think I just seen it on YouTube. And he was just basically talking about like the progress of his music, and the thing is that was it. The Hip Hop Awards have put beer bongs and Bentleys into the pop category now, and not the rap category.
No, it wasn't the Hip Hop Awards. It's the Grammys have done that.
Is it the Grammys?
Yeah, the Grammys have put him into the pop category because they've got some new rule that must state that 51% of the record needs to be rapped rather than sung, which makes sense. I think he should be an R&B, if anything. I didn't think Post Malone was a rap artist, not in my opinion. He doesn't rap. Yeah. He sings. But so like,
the thing is, it's going back onto like the change in his music that he's made. Like, if you go back and listen to White Iverson, and then compare that now to something like, I don't know, like Zack and Cody, or Better Now,
or I Fall Apart.
I Fall Apart's in the middle, and it's completely different. And he wrote that song, he said, when he was in high school about a girl, but like, it obviously shows like the progress. And while I liked Stoney more than Beer Bongs and Bentleys, at the same time I appreciate them both on the same level because they're different projects from the same artist. And I think the point is with Chance as well, like I like Acid Rap and I like Colouring Book, and I could say that I favour Acid Rap more than Colouring Book, but I like them both on the same level, but like at different times. Like, and I appreciate the fact that these artists are changing the way they make music, and it's because that's what they're passionate about doing. Like, when they were doing that music before, like, they were obviously in a worse place than they are now. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're now trying to make like more positive music, and people don't maybe like that as much, like me, like obviously the public do, but if we don't like that as much, like, that's not to say it's not good music. That's just to say that like, that there's a different way that they made that, and they wanted to put it into a different category. Yeah. I think it's good to see that artists such as Chance and Post are actually doing that and changing in a way like the actual style of the album that they're doing. I don't know if you sort of get what I mean, but like, Stoney was a bit more R&B, Beer Bongs and Bentleys does lean more towards pop in a way. Yeah,
it's more of pop, stadium music, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Like, and obviously Colouring Book's more, like you said, like
more gospel orientated,
and Acid Rap's very sort of
more alternative rap, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'd simplify it as Acid Rap, but that's not a thing. No, but it is alternative rap.
It was weird rap because obviously he didn't rap about the normal things. He just rapped about being a regular black guy in Chicago, like, but not like not a hood black guy though. He rapped about being like a normal, like me or something, like just someone who's just regular, just into regular stuff, like just gets on with his life. He's in college or whatever, like things like that. So
And the other thing is Surf as well. Like Surf with the Social Experiment and Donny Trumpet, complete different to Acid Rap and Colouring Book as well.
Not a lot of people even know about what that album is, you know.
And that album for me is like one of my more favourite one. It's more like jazz funk inspired, but it's nice to see that someone like Chance, who does alternative rap and can work with these massive artists such as Kanye on big songs and on their albums, can then just go back to like his little band and just make like a side project that he likes to make. Like, we're seeing a lot more of that, and I think that's, like, we say it all the time that, you know, Tyler's releasing stuff that he's just making. People are producing like double albums now and just putting music out when they can, because why not? Like, it's a streaming world, and I think it's given a lot more variety of music, and that's really good. It also gives artists the chance to experiment and a variety of like styles for them as well to pursue, and you could listen to an artist in one style and not like them, and then listen to another style and like them. Whereas before, they literally had to release the albums so that they would sell, and now they don't have to do that. So there's a lot more creative freedom, I think, and it's benefited the industry, and I think we can see that because music recently it's got pretty good. Like, there's a lot of solid releases that are coming out.
Yeah. There is a lot of solid releases that are coming out. And as we're just about to tie this up, we don't know whether this is going to be solid or not. I don't really care. That's why we're just going to we're just going to glaze over it.
Yeah.
We already know Yandhi's been delayed. I couldn't really give two shits. Like, he's just... Kanye as an entity is too much to handle at the moment. I just have to leave him, and I'll listen to the album when it comes out. That's all I can say. Like, that's all I can say about him now.
Yeah, see, you know, last week how I said that he should just keep like politics to himself because he's not got big doing that.
Yeah.
I found it interesting when I was watching SNL that Pete Davidson said the exact same thing that I did, and it's like everyone can see that like you are a musical genius, but you're not a genius. Like, you just need to stop talking about politics and stick to what you're good at. Yeah.
You're not a musical genius. You're just you're a musical genius, not a genius. Like, you don't need to do this, but it's just scary because this is just one step closer of him, like, getting into the White House, and that could be a really good thing. Like, maybe, but like, I just think it's just. Oh, we're not getting into it. Let's just leave the podcast on a good note. It's been a good it's been a good show, so I don't know why we don't need to talk about that anymore. Whereas, Yandhi's coming out on Black Friday anyway, according to Kanye, or Ye as he wants to go by now.
We'll see.
So yeah, we shall see. But that's it's been another good show. Listen to the weekly playlist, broadcasting on Dash on Thursdays at 3 a.m. Is it 3 a.m.? I always get this wrong.
7 p.m. Pacific time and 3 a.m. British summer time.
But that will be changing soon, as the clocks will be going back soon.
Well, it's still 3 a.m. British summer time.
It's still 3 a.m., but be prepared for time change to happen quite soon. And we're on Spotify, we're on everything. We're on Podbean. Look out for us on Podbean. We've got something exciting on there soon, so just look out for that.
We're also hoping that we're going to be on Deezer within the next few weeks. If anything comes upon that, then stay on our social medias at 808s and Joysticks, or at 808s and Joystick on Twitter, and we'll keep you updated if we are on Deezer, if that's your preferred platform. And I think that's it. Sure to check out our Instagram for all the artwork as well. We do put a lot of effort into that. And, you know, if you got any questions, suggestions, or, you know, maybe you have an idea you want to put forward, and, you know, you've got something you want to talk about, and maybe you want to suggest to be a guest, or you want to try and have a go at doing some artwork, let us know, hit us up. You can email us or contact us on social media, and we will reply. Yeah, you got any last words?
No, man, I'm all good, man. Yeah, it's been a good show. Until next time.
Yeah, Kim K 2020.
Oh, fuck you about. Anyway, yeah, see you later, guys.
If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please check the credits in the description to see what songs we used.